I wonder, do I get to decide what pace I take through life? Do I get to build my own river? Or must I simply accept that things are the way they are, that it's a dry year, that the river has slowed to a trickle, and that I am just here existing, that strap on that tree used to hold a hammock where we used to sit, and it's now fallen because of a storm, and it is the way it is. Yes, I can't lament the fact that I can no longer sit in that hammock, but I can build new spaces. Rodrigo sat on that hammock, loved that hammock, discovered this forest that I've known since I was about 9 years old when my parents bought this little piece of land. And then, when I returned here 4 years ago, I started to want to spend more time in this forest, but found that it was covered in branches, fallen branches, and a lot of leaves like this, and many more branches, because I decided to start to use these branches to turn the fallen brush, branches, leaves, to start to turn them into berms. These landscaping structures, techniques, this landscaping technique, which I put to use using my energy. Oh, I'm saying so many things all at once. What I want to say is, nature does what it does. It's a dry year, and so we don't have the fall foliage, the bright colors that we usually have at this time of year. It's strange. It's like a different place. And let's see how it is in a week. But a lot of, which is when the peak of the season, the peak foliage weekend comes, as it used to be, there are changes happening. And yet, it is what it is, right? So what do we do with those changes? We can build berms, helping with erosion, using techniques that we didn't have to use here because we didn't have storms that happened so frequently. And now we do. And it's okay, and we observe that. And we ask the people who've lived here longer than we have, and people who were born here, what they've observed. This is what the forest used to look like, a bit like this. So, 4 years ago, using a technique I learned in Argentina, I started to take the fallen branches, like those, being careful of widowmakers, which are giant branches that can literally kill you up above, because these trees are very tall. They're young, they're new, but they're tall. So, you take these branches, and you can do two things. One thing is you can pile them up on the side of a hill like this and make the hill, that will turn into dirt eventually. You see, so you use the standing trees to hold the fallen branches or trees, and some of them have been cut, but most of them, like this one, was cut because it was dangerous, but most of them just fell on their own. So you take those branches and you put them like this, and then year after year you pile more branches on top, the leaves fall, and what will happen is that I will have created garden beds, and eventually this will become like a flat terrace, and so we can spend time in these woods. So, as I listen to the sirens that you hear very rarely here, But the tourists have come. The rural gentrification is happening. It's becoming a place like it wasn't in my life. I've never seen it, but it is what it is. People coming up here are very wealthy, and things are very expensive, which just increases the number of people who have to sell their homes and move elsewhere. But there's work, sort of. Anyways, so I've created these little spaces, and every time I come, I add a little bit. And I play with nature, and I learn from nature, and I help her be a thing that I can spend time in. Be an entity, be a force, be a being. I help her be, and I spend time with her. But to do that, I think it's necessary to take breaks from these machines that dominate our lives, and to sit in nature without them, with them on airplane mode, with them in our cars left at the house, being used as cameras and microphones, ways of sharing what we see with people far away, turning what we see into creations that can inspire others or just give them some English to listen to. I think we have a right to do that. I think that we get to design the streams that carry us through life. And if we want them to go slow, we can make them meandering streams. We can create the streams we want to create so that the water flows at the pace we choose it to flow at. I don't think that we have to accept a life that is so sped up that we don't have time to sit and listen and be and breathe. Because that's all we have right now in this moment. And if every moment is taken from us, if we are consuming constantly and not creating frequently, we might feel less than human. And if we feel less than human, who knows what can happen? Because we're creatures, we're animals. We are living beings, breathing, feeling beings, like all of the beings in this forest. We make noise like this stream, and we cannot stop. We cannot flow. We cannot stop flowing. There is no break. The rivers just keep on flowing, keep on going. Let's build the rivers we want to travel on. And let's bring the people we care about along with us, and let's help them go slow. It's a generous act to go slow. It's a generous act. It's a creative act. It's not the path of least resistance. The path of least resistance goes straight down. Before this was here, the water went straight down. And it's no coincidence that it was here that the erosion occurred. No. There's no coincidence. And we have minds and we have hearts and we can build and we can create. And the sunlight that comes into this space because of what happened with this giant storm when we had to evacuate, It was quite intense. But what ended up happening was that there is now enough light in this space that plants will grow in these garden beds of the future. Plants will grow. There's a little chipmunk planting acorns already. And all that is necessary in that happening, for that to happen, all we need to do is observe and learn and build and create. And I would argue it helps to sit and think about what we want. Just like Rodrigo used to do as he sat in that hammock. He sat in that hammock thinking about life. And that's when we can think about and dream things we want to be. And we can use our bodies and use our energy and use what we can learn and what we know to plant seeds, to build garden beds, and make a more beautiful future. We have that power. Till next time, keep creating and stay free.